Goedemiddag, welkom vanuit de studio van de Academie voor de Rechtspraktijk. Vandaag een nieuwe aflevering in de serie Topsporters ontmoeten topadvocaten. En we hebben een nogal illuster gezelschap, als ik zo vrij mag zijn. We gaan praten over de overeenkomsten tussen topsport en tussen advocaten die misschien ook wel topsport bedrijven. Ik begin met de twee topsporters en I'll do it in English. So this whole broadcast will be in English. How's your Dutch, by the way?
Not so good.
Bijna goed.
Bijna goed, bijna goed. Well, Helen and Kate Richardson, you are both from the UK, top hockey players. Now you play in the Netherlands at Bloemendaal. But first of all, I've Googled you both, but your achievement list is like very, very, very long. But the most impressive one is, of course, your gold Olympic medal. Maybe you can show it to us. Roderick, it's about 2 kilos, or?
It's very heavy.
But it's not all gold, is it?
No, it's
gold-plated.
Yeah. Silver underneath. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You, the two top hockey players, will be talking a little bit about you more. But first, I'd like to introduce the two lawyers working for Baker and McKenzie. Als ik met de dame, doe ik weer even in het Nederlands, met de dame zou mogen beginnen. Remke Scheepstra, jij werkt al sinds
1998 in de Advocatuur en sinds 2000 bij BakerMckenzie.
Arbeidsrecht?
Arbeidsrecht en daarnaast privacy.
Dus.
Maar dan in de arbeidsrechtelijke hoek. Dus privacy is heel breed. Maar ik beperk me tot het arbeidsrechtelijke privacy.
Okay. Jullie zijn kamergenoten met Roderick? Of is dat een beetje te mooi geformuleerd?
Buren wel, ja. Maar Remke heeft een mooie eigen kamer. En die voor mij grenst daaraan. Maar ik heb een andere kamergenoot.
Oké. En jij bent Roderick. Je werkt nu sinds 5 jaar bij BakerMckenzie?
Nee, 5 jaar als advocaat en nu iets meer dan 1,5 jaar bij BakerMckenzie.
Okay. How do you guys feel meeting two top hockey players like the one sitting next to you? Because you're a hockey player, right?
Yeah, I'm a hockey player. Well, I look up to these two women, of course, and well, they just showed us their gold medals, and it's really impressive. It's heavy, like I just said, but it's also very special to sit next to them.
Are you a hockey player, Remke?
I was a hockey player since childhood, but I stopped in 2004 because I couldn't combine it anymore with work. And I got frustrated in the field because of things weren't going to go as I wanted to do, and so I thought it's better to stop.
Do you get invited often to speak, at business meetings or with professionals?
Yeah, yeah, we speak quite regularly in companies. We've been to Lloyd's of London, Pinsent and Masons, lots of law firms and insurance companies and advertising agencies, lots of different companies, because I think there's lots of transferable things between business and sport, and I think the main thing that we've been talking about is culture. If you have a company with a very good culture, you see it throughout the company, they are often very successful if they have really good culture, and I think it's the same with sports teams.
So the fascination is explainable. It's rather logical. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think because over our very long career, we've been in the national team for 17 years, and we've seen the real lows, and we've been in teams that haven't performed and haven't produced their best and haven't reached potential, and then we've seen the opposite. And so because we've seen both extremes, we've been really able to see what is the difference between success and failure, and I think then that makes it easier for us to explain, and then definitely transferable with the business world. Yeah.
Do you also have a role then in such a team, if I may, please. Ask? So you have a team that doesn't succeed, or where the culture is not as good as it is probably currently is. Do you, as a team player, have a role there in that team then to make the culture better, or the team work better together? Yeah,
that was one of probably the most fundamental things that was the difference, in that the team took charge of that role, and so we had ownership of creating the culture that we wanted and needed in order to be successful. And so, yeah, it was all about, I mean, before Rio we had a squad of 31. It was all about the 31 women in that team sitting down and deciding what we wanted to be about, what we wanted to achieve, and then how we were going to go and do that. So, yeah, it was very much the team itself, rather than the coach or the from above.
Yeah, and I think that's the difficulty when we go into companies. Lots of, obviously, companies, you get handed the culture. This is the culture that you are, and sometimes handed down from, you know, an office of people that you've never met before. It's difficult to really have ownership of the culture. But I think we've often talked about the behaviours. So what do you do day to day towards that culture? I think that's something that you can control. So it's really interesting. I really find it really interesting.
Do you get the fascination, Roderick, you know, from the professional world for the professional sports world?
Yes, of course, and I think there are many similarities because, well, I played sports at a high level as well, not as high as Kate and Helen, but well, I tried. But I think the most important thing is that you pursue the same goals with people who are equally driven. So you can do that in a business team, and you can do that in a sports team.
You guys work for a client.
Yes.
And you work for the team, or maybe even more for yourself, you know?
But I was wondering if when you work with the client, do you feel like you bring them into your team, or you become part of their team, or you're really still separate?
Preferably we are a team with the client, because you have the same goal that you pursue.
Okay.
And I'd rather sit next to them rather than above them, and that they come to me and ask for advice, because I also need to know, in, for example, where you advise a client on a restructuring, it's better to know how the organization works and how, for example, in relation to works councils, it's better to sit next to them and help them coach, well, the individuals in the works council, the members, towards the same goal, than sit in the ivory tower and advise the client.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense.
But we also have clients who are really demanding and just, well, say, can you look this up? And aren't grateful afterwards. And don't listen to our advice, for example. So then you're just providing services instead of doing business together.
Okay. But what's the reward? I mean, the reward in the sports world is rather obvious. I mean, a gold medal at the Olympics is, you know, bigger than that. It's impossible. How does that work for you? What is a gold medal reward after a you know, just a week at the office? And
there are no gold medals, but that's a good idea. Maybe.
No, I think the reward is when you get a really difficult question or a difficult issue that you can resolve together with the client, and that the client is satisfied with the result ultimately. In court cases, it's obviously the reward is that you win your case. Unfortunately, that doesn't, or unfortunate for us, because I like the fight, it doesn't happen that much anymore. Most of the cases are settled by negotiations. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Everyone wins.
Yeah, everyone wins.
Okay. I think
that's different, of course.
Yeah, that's different.
But one of the things that we learned as well was, I mean, you know, we wanted to win gold in London as well, obviously, and we didn't quite make it. We got the bronze, but actually, the processes we went through and what we created as a squad left us feeling satisfied in a way. Yes, still hungry and wanting to win the gold, disappointed, but we were content with what we had achieved because of the processes we had gone through. So even though you might not necessarily get exactly what you wanted, if you've gone through the processes and you've created something which could have, and you're happy with how you performed, then it's satisfying.
It's satisfying, yeah.
I introduced the four of you with the adjective top. Are you comfortable with that description? Like a top sporter, top lawyers? Or do you laugh a little bit about it?
That's a
Because that's well, society somehow needs this word always. You know, he's a top lawyer, he's a top soccer player, he's a top, you know, that's for some reason we like that as a society.
Yeah, I don't feel it personally in terms of me as a hockey player, but I feel it in terms of being a role model. I think is probably I know that I'm in the highest possible level you can be in the national team. So to be in the national team is such an honour, to wear the shirt and to represent your country. So I feel top in that way, and then what that means. So we're a role model to young boys and girls to say, come on, you can achieve your dreams, and I've been where you were, and I didn't think it was possible. So I don't think, yeah, look at me, I'm top. I think I'm one of the best in the country and playing against the best in the world, and I'm a role model. I think that's probably...
So not the arrogance that might come with the word top, but
just
the feeling of being top is not a...
Confidence, yeah, it's difficult. Confidence and arrogance, so closely aligned. But you have to be confident. You must have that confidence inside. Otherwise, when things go bad or it doesn't go quite well, then you will struggle. So you do need that inner steel. You need to know in yourself that you are good enough. Yeah. I think that's the most important thing.
I think it's the same for me.
Yeah.
Whenever someone, qualifies you as the top lawyer, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Although, if you really think about it, it's obvious that you are in the top league in terms of offices that you can work, or employment law departments. Especially since we're an international firm in the Netherlands. So yeah, it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but yeah, you know that it is that you're in the top league. Yeah. Yeah.
Character-wise, what are the similarities between the four of you? Are there any similarities in order to achieve, you know, something rather big in your field?
I don't know. I think for a part you have the talent, but it still requires a lot of work to get there. It doesn't go. It's not automatically that you get where you are.
Well, percentage-wise, talent, you know,
I think mainly hard work. I think mainly hard work.
Mainly hard work.
70-30.
Even.
I would say hard work is talent.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's actually a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because not everybody's prepared to do it, and that is talent, to be able to do the hard work, I think is. And I can't imagine the hours you've spent looking in books, and I can't, so that's really hard work. Yeah.
Right. What makes a lawyer talented?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe what makes a good lawyer? What makes a good lawyer? And I think part of it's knowledge, part of it is experience, and maybe part of it is commitment. And if you have those three, you can become a good lawyer.
But if, for example, you know, you put the four of you 20 years back in a row. Mm-hmm. I'm quite sure that with the two of you, you could already see the talent in your sport. Yeah. And how is that with lawyers? Can you see already, you know, when you go to a school or when you see kids play hockey, can you see a talent or he's probably becoming a lawyer? He's probably becoming.
Yeah, it's already as a child you are one of the best in your team, and it evolves whenever you put on the work and put on the training. Then it will evolve into even getting better. As a lawyer, it's obviously different. I think.
Verbal as a kid, are you more?
No,
you know,
not really. I'm still not very verbal, but.
Well, you should be a little, right? Or?
Yeah, you should be a little. I think you need to be good in languages, or you need to be able to make a difference between facts and opinions. So my Dutch teacher always said, because I never wanted to be a lawyer when I left school. But I was very good in the Dutch language, so and he said, "Well, you need to be a lawyer." And I said, "No, everyone who doesn't know what to do, they go into law school." So I said no, and I started in my studies as something different. So and then after a year of doing something, I wanted to go into the hospitality. Still servicing other clients, but more in the hotel business or restaurant business, and couldn't get in there, so I started to go into another language, German. But after a year or so, it's no, stop. This is nothing. It will be law anyway. Yeah.
Why law?
No. I mean, you were 14. Did you think, one day I'll be a lawyer at BakerMckenzie?
No, not when I was 14. I chose nature and health as a direction on
nature and health
on high school. Yeah.
Okay.
But I always was good in Dutch as well, and history. And well, at the end of high school, I wanted to become a lawyer, and not because I didn't know what to do, but I hate losing, and as a lawyer,
That's a sports
you
quality.
Yeah, I'm really competitive. Yeah, even if I play Ganzenbord or Goosebard.
You want to win.
I want to win.
Everything.
Yeah.
And also probably an eye for detail. You must be able to I think to be a lawyer, you have to be able to see a small thing that other people maybe miss, or
use the details to your benefit in certain discussions, obviously.
Yeah.
When did you know hockey was going to be, the future?
Not until it was actually the future, because when we were growing up, hockey was not a career prospect. And so, I mean, I played all sports. I played hockey, cricket, tennis, football, everything. I've got 3 older brothers, so I grew up around sport, and I was always going to play sport, but it was, it wasn't a conscious thing. I'm going to play at the top level, but I just developed and got better and got selected for all the teams as I was going up, and so it wasn't probably until I was actually in the senior team and potentially going to an Olympic Games in 2000 that it was as an option to do, and then even after that, I mean, we were kind of funded to a reasonable level, but then our funding got cut by 70% when we didn't qualify for the Athens Olympics, and so then you're like, okay, I'm having to look for work, I'm having to do...
What am I going to do?
What am I going to do? And so even once I'm in it, I'm still not really seeing it as a career, which is, it's only really the last 9 years or so that we've seen it like that.
Yeah, I think, I was going to be a teacher. My parents were both teachers. I just thought I was going to be a teacher and play. I enjoyed playing hockey, and as Helen went through the age groups, so under 16s, under 18s, under 21s, and then went to the Sydney Olympics. But I think it was only in the last 9-10 years when it's really been a full-time thing, and even then we get funded from the government, which is brilliant, but it's like £15,000 or £16,000 a year, which is okay. You can live on it just about, but it's not really a wage.
It's what a soccer player makes in a week, maybe.
Maybe a day, probably.
A day.
Probably half a day for Paul Pogba, and
For just showing up in your Range Rover.
So, but it is what it is, and we feel very lucky that we've been able to do that. So, but hopefully now for young kids growing up, it will be the norm. That's what we.
Was there pressure at a certain age growing up not to pursue a career in hockey because of the prospect, not making a lot of money and where it's going to be?
My mum always got asked, well, what is she going to do when she stops playing hockey? What is she going to do?
Yeah.
and you do feel it. You do, a little bit, kind of. Okay, I'm not making a lot of money. I'm managing to live, so that's fine with me. And hockey is going to come to an end. So what am I going to do then? So there was, definitely a bit of a.
Because were you able to do some studies next to all the training and all the the national team?
Yeah. So I actually have just finished a psychology degree. I did it with the Open University, which is online, and it took me 6 years to do. So I was able to do that over the last 6 years. And there are a lot of students as well in the team, and they have to have conversations with their universities and try and get modules stretched over a longer period of time and stuff like that. And it can be done.
Yeah,
definitely.
we're encouraged to study.
Yeah.
So it's because it can, you know, you have an injury and it can stop. Tomorrow you can't play hockey anymore. So we all have a degree. So I have a degree in sports science, but we have all sorts. We have a nutritionist and trained to be a lawyer. Georgie's now at Bird and Bird in London. Accountants, teachers, coaches, every kind of profession. Everybody just does what they like, and they try and maybe do a little bit of work experience and alongside the degree, so they're ready.
Do you get some sponsorship from government, for example, as it is, I believe, was the case at least in the Netherlands, where they are from the Dutch Olympic Committee get some sponsorship to
study?
Yeah, to study, or to at least make sure that they facilitate it to combine the two things.
There is some funding available for that, so we get our funding for training, and then there's extra funding which you have to apply to, which they encourage you to access. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's, you know, if there are courses, it won't pay for an undergraduate degree, but if there are other courses that you want to.
Do you feel that you more or less have been focused too much on hockey because you need a second career?
It's really difficult one, isn't
well,
it?
You're probably talking to the two people who really did just focus on hockey. Like
most people had a balance.
But we possibly didn't have that balance as much as other people. Certainly for most of our careers. I think the last few years a little bit more so. But for me personally, that was how my brain worked. I couldn't think about anything else when I was thinking about hockey. And for me, I just accepted that that was the case.
And next practice was everything.
Yeah, basically. But as I got older, I did get a bit better. And then I did start the degree. And that did help me a little bit, but it was a struggle to sit down at a desk and do some work.
Because that's a big difference between the four of you. I mean, you're in the middle of your career, which will continue till you're 65 or 67. But when you're a top sports person, it stops, you know, halfway through your 30s probably.
Yeah, you have to kind of, it is like a retirement. It's a retirement. You have to cope with a new life, a new chapter, a different focus. When you're in the national team, you know where you have to be at what time, with who, wearing what clothes, and what everything, how many hours to sleep, everything. And you become institutionalized. And when you come outside of that, you're like, oh, I have choices now. What shall I eat today? You know, and it's like day-to-day things now are just a little bit more difficult, I think. You're just not used to it. So it's a lot of change. Yeah.
Is there some guidance that you get when you stop, or?
A little bit, yeah. We do have support from, she's a performance lifestyle advisor, she's called. So she kind of is there if we have questions or we are struggling. We also have support now with mental health. Because lots of top sporters, when they stop, they have depression. They go through some very difficult times mentally. So we have support for that now. So that's quite good. Yeah.
How is that for the two of you? I mean, you need a long-term focus, more or less. I mean, or is that also, you know, we're living in times that people get bored with their jobs after 20 years and they want to change something completely. They all of a sudden become something else.
You're at the beginning.
I don't know. No, but it's. I mean, when you.
Yeah, but I think.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's you know, you still have quite a ways to go.
Yeah, thankfully. But I think it's always risky to focus too much on one thing. So I think commitment is important also for being a lawyer. But you don't have to forget the people around you, or playing sports, or doing other stuff.
But do you get facilitated because, you know, to prevent people from getting burned out, or, you know, all these things that we deal with in our days? Or is it still, you know, work till you drop?
No.
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 No. We get encouraged to play sports besides being a lawyer.
Facilitated because you have to stop.
We have a fitness room in the office, even, and we have got quite a lot of trainings as well on, for example, also on mental health kind of issues. Roderick also started a new course in Arabic. Yeah.
Arabic.
Yeah.
Arabic.
So so we tend to do more things.
Is it being appreciated if you say, "Listen, I promised my children to go this place, so forget it. I won't be finished with this case on Monday. It will be Tuesday."
It really depends. It depends. I mean, if there's a deadline with the court, then he can go with the kids to. Then we have a problem. We have an issue, and that means that he will probably need to work in the weekends to make sure that the deadline is met. But I don't think it's different for you. I mean, you have a game, and you need to be ready then and there. So.
Well, there's maybe maybe it's a similarity. Although you already said that most of your cases end in some kind of an agreement, more or less. But the four of you always have to achieve every single time. You need. I mean, if you're an accountant, at the end of the day, you just add up things, and I don't want to insult any accountant, but. Right. Now, what I'm trying to say is that you need it's a game always, You need to win. There's no option. That's what you do. You need to win.
Yeah, I guess for us, because our career is so short, there is a definite time when we, if we luckily enough to get to that point, we will be stopping. So, Rio was kind of like last chance saloon. We've been playing for this long. There is a definite finale, and if you want to achieve by then, you have to give everything in those 4 years leading up to the Olympics, otherwise it won't happen.
Why are you playing in Holland now at Bloemendaal?
Yeah, we hadn't really thought about it. We were just preparing for Rio, but then I spoke to an old friend, Laurens Doherty, who used to play at Bloemendaal. He was British, then he became Dutch, and he went to the Olympics with the Netherlands, and he's a really good friend. He said, have you thought about playing at Bloemendaal? They're a young team, the ladies dames zijn, and they want to try and build up. So I thought, maybe we can. And we didn't really know what to do after the Olympics. After the Olympics, it's always a post-Olympic blues. It's really the high and then the... and so we needed something to look forward to, so we thought this is a perfect fit. So, and with Tony Neuer's coach, we learned so much from him, and Thomas Tickelman is the trainer. So there's lots of things. I think it ticked lots of boxes, so we thought, okay, let's go.
Was it hard to move, culture-wise? Or, I mean, you both knew already a lot about Holland. And
this is the second time for you.
Yeah,
so you played before.
Both been here before. I was at Den Bosch for a season, and Kate was at...
and KZ.
Yeah. I think we're two independent people, and we've travelled the world quite a lot, and so I think in terms of moving to another country, it wasn't necessarily...
pack your bag and...
Yeah, and off we go.
What is the difference that you notice again?
Yeah, or culture-wise, maybe, between the UK, where you... to the Netherlands.
Definitely more outdoorsy.
Yeah, just the environment, you can see it, everyone's cycling and the road structure, I mean.
Yeah, it's more ready and set for an outdoor lifestyle, which I don't think we have in the UK. We have in some places, but not as much.
Do you live in Bloemendaal now?
In Aardenhout.
Aardenhout?
Yeah.
Aardenhout.
Yeah, it's
nice.
We're in the mayor's house. Yeah. Because I think the mayor of Bloemendaal, I think, has his own house, and he didn't need this house, so we're just staying there.
I understand your move.
Yeah.
The mayor of Aardenhout.
I mean, it's a big house. We have 2 sofas and a bed and table and chairs in like a 5-bedroom mansion. So there's nothing else in the house at all. So.
But on a serious note, you might need 2 lawyers, because once Brexit is a fact, you can't just, cross the North Sea and move here.
No, we both voted to remain. We wanted to stay in Europe.
I mean, serious. If Brexit would have been the case, you could not have easily transferred, right? Or
we don't know.
We don't know what's going to happen yet, but probably not.
But what do you...
Yeah.
Are you guys preparing, for Brexit and for clients? And
I think our office in London has weekly webinars and meetings,
emergency meetings,
educating the clients of what's possible to go and happen.
But still, no one exactly knows what the deal is going to be between the EU and the UK, of course.
Also, Scotland now are going to have a referendum as well, so they might leave the UK. So then
they will stay in. And
that's
what they want.
But is it true to say that most people who are in sports or in the world of sciences, universities, young, are not very much in favour of Brexit because they lose a lot?
Yeah, I think so.
We had, I think, we were at a tournament. We were at the Champions Trophy just before the Olympics when the vote was, and I'd say 90% of the team that were playing, we all voted. 90% of the team voted to remain, and 2 voted to leave. And so the next day when we had they were obviously really happy, but everybody else it was like there had been a death. You know, everybody was really sad, and I just think it's so short-sighted, and why take a jump into the unknown? Nobody knows, like you say, nobody knows what's going to happen with Brexit. Why would you take that jump without knowing what's going to happen? I think it's...
Okay, so you describe yourselves as being, disappointed. On the other hand, the biggest honour you feel is playing for your own UK and winning gold medals and play for your national teams, which is, I won't say nationalistic because it's...
Yeah,
but
patriotic. It's patriotic, Yeah, I feel I'm British. I really feel like I'm British, but I do
more than European.
Yes, I feel I'm British first. I do feel European, but I think it's in a different way too. I feel that difference when you come onto the continent. I feel like everybody feels they belong together. They're actually physically attached to each other. The countries are attached to each other, and we are in that way a little bit separate. And I think you feel that in the cultures when you're in continental Europe or when you're in the UK. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about achievements, for you it's obvious, of course, the long list, resulting in a gold medal against the Dutch national squad, by the way. We won't mention that. Is it for you as easy to say, in your career, okay, that was my achievement? Thinking back, that was my gold medal? Or is that, blends in more or less in lots of cases that you...
Yeah, I think the latter. Because my career obviously isn't that long yet, so not that much achievements. So maybe completing the educational program for becoming a lawyer would be my biggest achievement. Although I don't really feel like it's an achievement, but it's nice to accomplish.
Working for BakerMckenzie is it in your world some type of gold medal? Because it's such a...
gold. I don't know gold, but
it's
well, maybe...
Like playing in upper league than something else.
Playing in the hoofdklasse, playing in the... No, not Feyenoord. No.
What other team are you suggesting then?
It's more like Ajax. No, playing in the hoofdklasse is, I think, the best comparison.
Yeah, and for you? Is there one case that you think, whoa, that was my Champions Trophy final? Or?
It's not a Champions Trophy, it's just a case that put in a lot of effort and which I really liked because it was a summary dismissal which was really built up by first going through a investigation with an external party trying to find out of whether the specific director had embezzled money. And then building up to a summary dismissal, and after that going to court several times, and in the end win the case. So it's a case which took about 2 years, I guess, but in the end you won. It's just because it took a lot of efforts that you really like.
Do lawyers, spray champagne on each other when they win a case? Oh, that's only... It might be nice, champagne shower. You have a small celebration, or...
Yeah, small celebration. We will drink champagne when there's...
It's regularly.
It's every day. You don't need an Olympic final to...
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to advise, you know, your kids or whatever, your neighbor's son or daughter, and they're 14, would you say, first try to achieve something in sports because it will give you a great life, opportunities? Or would you say, well, try to become, you know, something, study something and become... If I go from left to right.
Sports is a risk. My sister was more or less in the same situation. She played in the national team, I think, for 2 times, and then she got injured on her knee. And she wasn't able to do, well, she wasn't selected anymore. So I'm from a sports family. My sister had the talent and put in the efforts, but in the end it didn't work out. So I'd always say do the two. Don't throw away something that you before. Yeah, don't an old shoe before you have new. If they're good at sports, I definitely encourage it. But I will also say or advise my son.
Go study something.
Yeah, do that at the same time.
And what about you, Rose? Because you were maybe in that position because you were, you know, talented hockey player as well.
Yeah, well, I would say whatever makes you happiest first. So that can be sports and it can be, well, a study or something. And if I look at myself, I played in the national teams under 18 and under 16, but I wasn't good enough to make it to the Olympics. That was my own opinion. So I made other choices and I studied and I spent time on other things than sports. And part of me feels kind of sad that I didn't do everything I could to achieve the highest possible, because I think that's winning the Olympic medal is really special and worth of any delay in study or whatever.
What about the two of you?
Yeah, so
I advise, you know, this young.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with what makes you happy, but I also agree with that you do need an education. And I mean, when I was 17, so I was 16. So it's just before I was going to start studying for my A levels, which is important exams in the UK. My English teacher said to me, okay, so if you had the choice of going to the Olympics in 2000 or studying for doing your A-levels, what would you choose? And straight away, no doubt, I said, go to the Olympics. Because I kind of felt like in my head, I could do my A-levels whenever, whereas sport is finite. And you know, I may not ever get a chance to go to the Olympics again, and that, for me, was the most amazing thing ever. So it's kind of, I don't know, you know, I do agree you need your education, but if you had the opportunity to go and do something in sport,
you'd go for the sport again.
Go for it, yeah.
And what about you, Kate?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think it's, the first thing I'd say is don't stress. I think I remember feeling as a teenager like, some people really knew they wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or they really felt that's what I'm going to do, and they went for it. And I never really felt that. I felt I can be a teacher. You know, my parents are teachers. I can play hockey. I don't really. And you know, maybe it changed week to week. Like, oh, I could do this or I could do that. And I think it's okay to have that when you're young, and not to put so much stress and pressure on really knowing it. You're still young. You're still finding out about the world. So I think education is perfect for that, because it gives you a broader perspective on life, and it gives you different challenges and different opinions. And I think if you can do sport alongside the study for as long as you can, and then it will become clear. I think it will become clear. Yeah.
Okay, another quick round. Again, you know, 4 of you, you know, achieved top levels. What wasn't necessary in order to achieve that? Looking back, if you think, well, I always did, you know, this, but looking back, that was a bit, you know, unnecessary? Or is there something that you, looking back, say, listen, if you had to advise, you know, someone that starts in sports or studying law or start to work for, you know, something that you say, well, everyone always says this, but I did it, and again, it didn't.
Well, I think I'm not really technically an excellent player, and I think when you think, oh, a top sporter, they have to be good at every part of the game. They have to be really excellent at every single part of the game. And I think the best thing I learned is actually just find the way to make it work for you. So I play a completely different style of hockey to Helen, but we still play in the same team and we still have this. Yeah, and so it's, you know, don't think, oh, I can't do that because, well, I don't have these types of skills. Actually, just make it work your way. I think that's probably one thing.
You agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody has all their different strengths, and they're not going to be the same as the person sat next to you, even if you're in the same career. And it's finding out what your strengths are and making the most of them. Yeah, we have players in our team who, from the outside, people would possibly think, why are you in the squad? But actually, for our team, for her teammates and all the teammates, we're like, no, she is there because she does X, Y, and Z better than anybody, and we need X, Y, and Z. And sometimes people looking in from the outside can't see what people bring, but as long as you know what those strengths are, and the people around you use them and welcome them.
It's not a one size fits all.
No.
No.
For you as lawyers, is there a focus that you thought you always needed, but in the end you think now, well, maybe I spent too much time doing this or doing that?
Well, I spent too much time on a number of things, but no,
being a student.
Yeah, being a student, yeah, it was all good experience, yes. Yeah. But I also spent almost 2 years on finance law, but I wasn't really interested in finance law. So that's, if I look back, kind of a waste.
But you thought you needed it, or you thought you...
Well, it's important.
It would bring something.
Yeah, to have a broad view. So, yeah,
and
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more or less the same. I think you need to really go through law school because you do a lot of things that you really don't like, or that doesn't that you won't use later on as a lawyer. But it's something that you need to go through to get this paper to become a lawyer. And actually, I never started law school to become a lawyer, but more like a legal counsel, maybe in business. And only at the end of my study, I learned what a lawyer did. I really liked to represent someone else and to fight for a position and to fight for a certain standpoint. So you need to go through a certain period.
Well, I heard a colleague of yours, like a colleague lawyer, who said that the young lawyers, they think that they need to know every single detail in the book, and they read. And it also comes down to the way how you perform it and how you make a strategy.
You need to know that, because whenever we have a student coming in for a 6-week period as a trainee, they think they know everything, and then you ask them something, and then they learn that they know actually nothing. So whenever you start as a lawyer, you should know that you start totally anew. You really need to look into the books, into case law, to be able to answer a certain specific question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my final question: did you learn anything from each other? Are you now wanting to become lawyers in your? With
it's like the whole, fighting for something that you really care about. Kate and I are really passionate about certain things. Inequality, mental health. There's a lot of stuff that we've kind of seen and developed passions for over our careers. And the kind of was thinking to be able to fight your corner in those things is really a great skill to have.
Okay, this is being taped, this program, on a Monday morning. So what do top hockey players do on the rest of this Monday?
So we drive home. I got to take 2 more calls for meetings later on this week to organise them, and then I have to give training to the. I've got a talent pool, the day talent pool, and then also help with the zijn. And then we have training tonight and some video, food, and then bed.
For you, it's the same program, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Training and then wake up and do it all again tomorrow.
What about you? What's the rest of this Monday bring?
A lot of work. we just missed the first 3 hours, so it will be a busy day for me, I think. And I guess the same for Remke.
Yeah.
Hard working. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye in Dutch. Dank jullie wel voor jullie aanwezigheid hier. Bedankt ook voor het kijken. U heeft gekeken naar een nieuwe aflevering in de serie Topsporters die topadvocaten ontmoeten. En het is altijd leuk om weer te constateren wat de overeenkomsten, maar soms ook de verschillen zijn. Thank you very much.